Boom, and we're live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I am your host, Chris Kirkwood. Screen name Kirkdiese, here with the two rich guys, I think. One, certainly, for sure. I know someone just took down 100K in here, and then another one had a pretty good NBA night the other night, too, I saw. So, feel poor right now. What's going on, fellas? JSURab, John Surabian, and Brett Hartfield, KillaB 2482.
Not much. It's going all right. Grinding these NBA in the NBA streets is, I love it. There's no better sweat than NBA, but we got some week 11 to break down here, fellas. I feel shitty that we don't get to talk about the monster game, but regardless, I think this is still a pretty sexy slate. I think a great tournament slate. If you love building multiple lineups, I think the chalk play is going to be spending up at running backs and going cheap wide receivers. So I think the inverse of doing that is going to be the way to go if you want low ownership this week.
Yeah, I think problem is that they priced up a lot of guys on DraftKings, especially like the wide receivers. Like Corey Davis is finally like where he should be, price-wise around 5,600. They're starting to price some of those guys up. So it'll be interesting, the builds this week. But other interesting part is we're missing a ton of studs. Like Brett said, we're missing a bunch of good players. Todd Gurley not on the slate, Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, those type of guys. So it'll be interesting. I think this slate, like Brett said, is an awesome GPP slate just because of that fact where there's not those like go-to guys that have been playing every week. So should be interesting.
All right, this is not how I wanted the show to begin. I want you to talk about your NBA hit. Let's people want to hear. People want that's a huge score. Like you got to at least what'd you play? You only had 3 lineups, right?
I had 3 lineups. So 2 of them were actually very similar in the way that I really went after the Brooklyn-Minnesota game. It was my favorite game actually going into it. I had in place, there were guys that were injured or not sure if they were going to play. So I had in place ways I was going to go to pivot if they were ruled out for whatever reason. Guys like Jeff Teague. I assumed that Hollis Jefferson and Ed Davis were going to get a bump if Jared Allen was out. I did play them both in one of my lineups. I played Rondé Hollis in 2 of the 3 lineups, though. And I played Ed Davis with Hollis Jefferson and D'Angelo Russell in another lineup.
Somehow avoiding the Levert. Like, how does he avoid the Levert when he's stacking that game?
So I mainly just – it was mainly
that was the night I had Levert?
That was the night you had Levert. That was the night you had Levert.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. And then I loved Jeff Teague. It was a price play by far, 4,500. It was just an absolute. Yeah, I don't know how he wasn't 100% owned.
Yeah, so you had like a pretty chalky, like you had like the chalk value, right? You had Jeff Teague, who was like a great, like announced at like Derrick Rose sat out, right?
Yeah. So Jeff Teague.
And then you had like a game stack.
Yeah, and what I did was I had in one lineup, I had 3 Brooklyn guys. It was Hollis Jefferson, Ed Davis, who had ownership, were like in the 25 to 30s in ownership. But then D'Angelo Russell was 2% owned.
Yep.
So I had him. He had 50.
And Levert was going to have that 50. I just want to let you know it was going to be Levert.
Even with Levert, D'Angelo Russell started like 5 for 5 from the 3-point line. So, the game was going well for him regardless. So, Levert was having an okay game too. But, it was more just I kind of had I had a lot of chalk, but I had 2 or 3 guys like Kevin Durant who were like 10% owned. I thought he was the best play on the whole slate. I thought he was going to be like 30% owned, and I was getting him at like 10%. I had Towns, who was chalky.
Yep.
But
Well, congratulations,
Embiid.
man. That's a 6 score. That's what we all play for. So congrats again to you. I think that's your second one since we've been doing the pod.
I keep buying houses over there.
Yeah, man. Buy me a house. Give me like an apartment or something. It's something like that.
right next to the house of mine.
I'll be in your outhouse or something. Like I can walk the dogs, mow the lawn, stuff like that.
No dogs, not yet. No dogs.
All you're gonna hear is like Chris just like screaming, like all of those plays that end up blowing up. Like he's just gonna.
Oh no! So that night, I made an import error the other night, and
yeah.
But who cares? Okay, so anyway, we're on to week 11. But also part B, what I wanted to say was I think that we smashed the pod last week, right? Like combined, like I don't know, I didn't smash from my own week standpoint because I always end up changing, but like I think we were definitely on a bunch of really good plays, right? Like I was on DJ, Brett was all about Mariota and Corey Davis, and JSU. Who was your best one?
I mean, I had Brandon Cooks and Tyreek Hill as
Tyreek. That was a huge monster one. So I hope some people played those picks, but we're gonna do it again this week. So yeah, we got a big slate. So what looks like at quarterback? I usually start there. So what are we thinking? At least from like who do you think is gonna be like the chalk right off the bat?
Yeah, I feel like there might be a few guys popping I don't think chalk is going to be very chalky at quarterback this week. There's not like one guy I think that really stands out. I do think Cam possibly at 6,200 will be the most owned. But yeah, I mean, I can see Drew Brees garnering quite a bit of ownership. I think there's just a lot of different guys that are going to be right around 10 to 12%. I don't think there's going to be a major quarterback that goes above 15.
Take a picture of the first three guys, Breeze, Wentz, Newton. Those are the guys that people are going to roster. I think Breeze is going to be the highest owned of them. Wentz will probably be right after him. Wentz and Newton will be right after. So I think really those are the only three. I don't know how chalky they'll be. Will they be 20%? I don't know. Maybe Breeze is, maybe Newton. I don't know, but I don't think anyone gets higher than that. I think those are definitely the three guys that people are going to target, though. Everyone else is pretty much going to be lower owned.
There's a lot of ways to go too. We also got some decent cheaper plays that are in play. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to chuck it. He's in play. We can talk about, could this be the 1 week of the entire season where noodle arm Eli Manning actually is a decent play? Dak Prescott, could potentially.
A lot of bad quarterbacks in great spots.
Yeah, Mariota. There's a lot of good plays in there, but yeah. So
man, you're missing your boy,
Andrew Luck.
Yeah, come on. You got to throw him in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then for running backs, David Johnson. It's we missed the boat. Last week was the time to get in, but he's gonna smash again. It's full throttle. He's back. He's getting the usage. They're designing him plays for him in space. He's got Oakland. He's going to smash again. Looks like we can do a bounce back Dion Lewis. Zeke is probably going to be extremely chalky, right?
I don't have Zeke as being highly chalky. Do you guys? I'm looking at just kind of different ownership areas. I think because of his price being at 8,500. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be up there, but I would like Saquon over Zeke if they're going to be similar ownerships. I'd rather.
Yeah, I think Elliott's going to be chalkier.
Okay.
I think people saw what he did last week, kind of recency bias, and then the matchup against Atlanta. Yeah. People got to remember, Zach Martin did go down with another knee injury, so that's something to keep in mind. I like Zeke way less if Zach Martin is not on that field. That makes a huge difference to me. He's still a good play, but his price is at 8,500. I'm with Brett that Barkley, Kamara, David Johnson.
I think I think David Johnson's great chalk to buy.
Yeah.
I don't know about Zeke at 8,500. I mean, to pay that price tag on an offense overall, that's legitimately not that great. And ownership's going to be high because of what he did last week. I think there's just so many good elite running back plays that I'd rather pivot off of that Zeke play.
You're the cash guy though. He definitely has a high floor in this game.
Yeah, I'll still have exposure there for sure in cash. It's just I like Saquon just as much, if not more. They have a higher implied.
I would take Kamara straight up over him, Elliott.
Okay, so let's talk about that game. I kind of worry about that game a little bit, just because. So the secondary is just they have nobody for Philly. I just see them getting absolutely blown out. So they're going to play zone because that's what they did in their last game when everyone went down. That's what they just had to do. So they're just going to give up yardage, and they're just going to hope that they can stop them before in the red zone, but it's not going to happen. And I just see the Saints just pounding this team, to be honest with you. So I'm a little worried about the blowout factor. I think Kamara is going to go absolutely berserk in the beginning. I worry if it's going to be like that second half Ingram game. Just my own thoughts.
I like the Kamara call because I think if people pay up, they're not going to be paying up for Kamara. But you do fear the Philadelphia defensive line still for running the ball. And Kamara, you want Kamara touches to be catches. And we know, obviously, like Kirk said, or Chris said, that you have the three top cornerbacks from the beginning of the year all out. You have the safety, Rodney McLeod, out. So I just feel like there's going to be a lot of passing, which should lend to Kamara coming out of the backfield, getting catches. So really like this spot for Kamara also. I wrote down my favorite my favorite stack probably this week is going to be the Saints stack. And I think Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, and Kamara, those three guys, you can pick 2 out of 3. I probably wouldn't go all 3 of them, but pick 2 out of 3 and then, go from there.
I'll tell you this. Michael Thomas is going to smash in the first half for sure. And we'll see. I'm even toying with the idea of playing the Saints D, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. How crazy?
Yeah, they're cheap.
Is it crazy?
It's tough. It's tough because if the Saints defense has a GPP winning day, right? That's usually taking a few touchdowns away from your offensive guys. Usually there's one defense every week that has 2 touchdowns. So that's the only thing that I worry about if I'm stacking. Well,
that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of worried about this game. I'm worried about this game. I know it's the go-to game. It's the 2 passing offenses, and
So you don't like anyone from the other side? Is that what you're saying?
I don't.
Oh, really? I like the other side too because you have a Saints team that stuffs the run. They filter towards the pass too. So the only issue though is the Eagles trying to project their wide receivers. You had Golden Tate that stepped in. They had a bye week on Golden Tate's first week back, and then he only plays 18 snaps last week. So I don't know where to go as a wide receiver because can we project that Golden Tate will see 50, 60% of snaps? I'm probably avoiding him obviously regardless, but I think Nelson Aguilar makes sense bringing it back. I don't know how chalky he will be, but based upon his last week's usage, he saw almost every single snap. And even if Tate does move into the slot, Aguilar's been playing a lot out wide.
So I think what happened was, and Doug Peterson came out and said it, was he wasn't comfortable having Tate running out there on the up-tempo offense. So when they were going hurry up, Tate was not on the field because he said he wasn't comfortable with them out on the field when they were going up-tempo. And they went up-tempo a lot in that game. So I think that's one of the reasons why you didn't see him. So this could definitely be another game where they go up-tempo for a lot of the game. So he might play a little more snaps this week, but I can't see him playing a lot more snaps if they end up getting behind.
All right, so we're all I like totally like on different wavelengths with everyone. So that's interesting because I think this is a Golden Tate. Like he's the one guy on the Eagles that I actually am interested in. I just think with a little bit more time to learn the offense, they got him for a reason. This is the like PJ Williams is the weak spot on the Saints secondary, and so Golden Tate, this should be a prime spot for him. And I think no one's going to want to go there. So I think like this is like the perfect like bounce back, lower ownership spot where he still has all that upside that we kind of thought he had last week.
Yeah, if he sees like north of like 60% snaps at 5,500 running, because he is going to run routes in the slot, and that's where you want to attack the Saints. So I'm all about it if you get the snap count. That's the thing, or the routes run. So it's it's one of those things like if they're behind and they're going with tempo, right? He doesn't know enough of the playbook. It's like how many routes is he actually going to run here? GPP only, but I think Aguilar is the safe play there. Just because he's a guy that's going to be out there on 3 wide receiver sets regardless.
Yeah, he's going to be the one guy from this game that you'll probably get at like 1% owned in your tournaments, 2% owned. Like he's going to be that low.
Talking Golden Tate.
Yep, Golden Tate. Yeah.
I might. All right. Can you guys remind me on Sunday morning?
Yeah, I'll send you
a Slack. Be like, you loved Golden Tate.
Yeah.
Make sure you have some Golden Tate.
Make sure you play 50%.
And by the way, just to give you an update on those kids, on the people that I talk to, where I'm always saying I got to stick to my own guns. So they gave me the worst. They gave me the worst 1v1 like decision the other. I needed one play in NBA basketball, and they gave me the lineup sinker in Bridges on the Hornets.
Great.
And he just sang, and I was like, and so I berated this. I literally spent an hour in Discord just berating them. How can you be a winner when every single time I ask for a 1v1 question, you literally sink my lineup? And this is like 99% of the time, and like, so at least what I did is I bashed them so hard, they will never answer a question I ask again. So I'm on my own. And I like that, and I'm glad. So at least I can only blame myself from here on out.
Well, if they're wrong 99% of the time, then you should just be doing the exact.
I should be fading them. I know, but like they both. One person chimed in, and I was like, I ignored him, and then the other guy came in and was like Bridges too, and then I was like, okay, and yeah, it was bad.
Good stuff.
But anyway, so I thought that was funny. All right, so what? So the game that kind of interests me, just because they're two bad teams, and it's kind of like that NBA when you got like two bad teams that like are sloppy and just like leak fantasy production, steals and blocks all over the place. Like when they play each other, like end up being a good game stack. This is what the Giants and Bucks games feels like to me. Now, of course, I worry about Eli, but like these are two bad teams, and the Giants did give away, like a bunch of their best, pieces on defense. And we know that Tampa's going to be chucking the ball. And I don't think that, Tampa's defense is bad. We know that. We know what teams put up. So if Eli can just have a respectable game, and he can actually check down Charlie like all he wants in this game. But I think this has the makings for like a lot of fantasy production. And I'll just start off with it. I know Saquon's going to be popular, and I like Saquon. I'm with you on there. But like Sterling Shepard, this is the play. This is the play.
I think this is my favorite spot if you want to roll with the inverse of what's going to be chalked. So if you want to go expensive wide receivers and cheap running backs or middle tier running backs, this would be the game that I stack. Eli's been bad all year, but you pull up Odell's game log and targets, it's been so steady this year. And like, he's never been a high target guy, but man, the last 7 weeks, he's at least 10 targets, and has gone off plenty of scenarios. Now he gets the worst pass defense, DVOA wise, versus the Bucs. So it's like one of those spots where, yeah, Odell makes a ton of sense, and I think he'll be pretty low owned due to the fact that everybody's going to be paying up at running back. So bringing it back with Mike Evans makes a lot of sense. And, you can bring it back, obviously, with lots of different guys for Tampa Bay because they pop. Godwin or Deshaun pop whenever. So
Kirk's got the play.
I just want to say that if Odell Beckham is low owned, I don't believe that. No way Odell Beckham is low owned in this slate. I get the running back pay up, but this is that's one of the best plays on the slate. This is the type of matchup where Eli is going to force the ball to him because he can. It's going to be easy because this defense is terrible, and they're going into it. Eli, in tough matchups, forces the ball to Odell Beckham. In easy matchups, he's going to try and throw at Odell as much as possible to keep him happy.
Yeah.
Odell's a freak. He's awesome. He can do well with Eli's quarterback. That says a lot. This is a good spot for him, but I got the play. And John, you better be with me on this one because you were with me on the last time this was the play. And remember when I liked him, even though it was Winston throwing it to him and you didn't, and you guys,
look at how excited he is right now.
Well, this is the play. This is because I always look for the speed matchup with Deshaun Jackson.
Say Deshaun, yes.
And I love it when the snap counts for Godwin are starting to creep back up and so people look at snap counts and they don't want to play it. It's all about the speed matchup. And now he's got Fitzpatrick, who's completely capable of hitting him on a deep ball. And because he gets the matchup with B.W. Webb, who is slow, been around a while, just can't. There's no way he can keep up with him. So it's going to be there for Deshaun this week. Please come on board. Yeah. Come on board with me, guys.
I think I'm going to come on board, especially if Godwin, who I think didn't practice again today, Chris Godwin. If he's out, then I think Djax becomes kind of popular, but maybe it's Humphreys. I don't know. But I would go Djax 100%.
And Godwin. Godwin did drop in snaps a little bit, but Deshaun had 8 targets last week, right?
I have Godwin at 7 targets and
8 targets. Yep, 5 catches, 8 targets.
There's no doubt that those two affect each other. Obviously, the most. Humphreys is consistently in the slot. So I think if Godwin's out, Humphreys' role really doesn't change. So
people might I think people will roster him more if Godwin's out, just because he's cheaper and not to say it affects him more. I'm just saying they're just going to be like, oh, let's it limits their passing situation. Let's take a stab at a receiver. We need a cheap receiver because they're going running back, high-priced running back. So he's a cheap guy.
Being a parent can be really challenging. Child and Family Resource Network focuses on connecting pregnant parents and those with kids under the age of 5 with free support services to help them on their parenting journey. Everyone deserves someone they can turn to for help with parenting. Visit childandfamilyresourcenetwork.org today.
Some people were made to follow the instructions. We were made to make our own. To always measure twice and never cut corners. Unless, of course, we've got a compound miter saw. Northern Tool and Equipment is a problem solver's paradise. There's nothing we can't find, fix, or figure out together. We're made for this. Start solving your projects today at northerntool.com.
Well, all we care about is that when you're going to get that DK flash alert that says, big play alert.
I will say, though, that
okay, go ahead.
The one guy that I love in this game is from the Tampa Bay side is OJ Howard. I think I'm going to have a ton of OJ Howard this week. You saw George Kittle, last week they were feeding him in the beginning, and then I don't know what happened in the end. They kind of went away from him, but he was consistently open. And OJ Howard is a monster. And I think people are going to look at his game log, and DK dropped his price just because he had one bad game, but I'm totally fine. I think he played 60-something% of the snaps. I'm totally fine rolling this guy out against a bad Giants defense. Struggles against the tight end. I love O.J. Howard.
I like him too. I'll get on board with that. I'll have to write that down to remember.
I'll say this. Some guy that Chris got me on to, it was either yesterday or this morning, was Ricky Seals-Jones at 2,900.
Yes.
Another
good one.
Just a spot versus Oakland where we know this is the highest implied Arizona's had all year, and DJ is going to be super popular. So I think the way to say, hey, Arizona's going to score via Ricky Seals-Jones inside the red zone instead of DJ, I think would really separate you from the field especially a chalky DJ.
They're both going to eat.
I think you just named my two tight ends for the week.
They're both going to eat. I don't think you have to worry about. I think they're both going to eat here. I think they're going to use their stars now. And I would have no problem playing Larry Fitzgerald either.
One thing with Larry Fitzgerald, he to me, I watched that entire game because I was super high on the Chiefs. I almost had Tyreek Hill walk button, so I was watching that game the whole entire game. Larry Fitzgerald looked slow, and it scared me. I had him on a few lineups with Chiefs guys, and he looked just.
When did he ever look
old,
fast?
man? No, but he looked like he could not get open slow. He looked really old.
You guys remember that Packer Cardinal playoff game where it went into overtime? It was on one of Rodgers' Hail Marys. And then Fitzy took that pass 70-some yards.
Well, was that the year they went to the Super Bowl?
No. This was 2014 playoffs, I want to say.
No idea.
Yeah, so 2014 play, so it would probably been January 2015. It was a divisional matchup. But yeah, Fitzy takes it all the way down to the 2-yard line, and then they gave him a quick pass for a touchdown for it was a 2-yard touchdown. But yeah, that was the last time he made a super explosive play. I haven't, outside of that, it's just he catches it, falls down. It's just.
Well, I'm just saying, ball gets hiked, and this guy's jogging off the line. You can go back and watch the tape. He was jogging off the line. It was frightening.
So I just want to touch on lastly because this is the game, but I said I like Sterling Shepard so much. It's all about the matchup. He's got clearly the best matchup on the field against the Bucks, who they have MJ Stewart, who was out last week with a foot injury, has a terrible replacement. They've been talking about getting him out anyway. They're both terrible. If there should game plan Sterling Shepard all game in this one. And so obviously everyone's going to want to be on Odell and Saquon, but this is a great, GPP play in my opinion, Sterling Shepard. And I think D-Jax, like I said, I think those are two guys that are going to have low ownership and this is the week for them.
Yeah, I don't mind that call. I would play, I could see playing Shepard and Odell. Or Shepard and Barkley.
I like this game. We can game stack the whole thing, but you can also play around different ways with it with all these different leverage plays within the game. So I like this game a lot. Now, who's got the next game? Who's got a different game that they really like?
I'll bring up a pace game. Obviously, everybody was all about the Titans last week. They get to go play in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is the fastest offense for seconds per snap basis. Their opponents have been running a ton of plays. So again, I think I'm going to go back to Tennessee here for double stacks. Again, this is a tough slate to find value, but Corey Davis has such a huge target share, and I still don't think his price tag is anywhere near where it should be, especially in this scenario where the game's going to be playing at a faster pace than they're normally used to. And then also being in a dome, I just feel this is a great situation. Again, two very below average teams that are putting up 49 points. Seems like a great spot for a Mariota, Davis. And then I don't know where Dion Lewis's projected ownership is going to be right now, but he definitely burned a lot of people last week. He wasn't efficient whatsoever, barely utilized in the receiving game. But I can see going right back to
Yeah, great week to go back to him. I just want to throw something out there that I just read on Pro Football Focus about the pace, just to throw it out there so that, the Colts do sit near the top of place per game standings, but it's effectively deceiving, he's saying, is because they've effectively ditched their no-huddle offense after leading the league through 6 weeks. And their seconds per snap pace has dropped to third slowest during the last month after they operated the league's fastest offense through the opening 6 games. So it's just something to monitor a little bit. But I totally agree with you about – I don't think it even matters with Corey Davis. Like you said, he's getting such a huge so much volume. Like, he's their guy. And the reason he's doing so well now is because Mariota's actually healthy.
Yeah,
and he abused Gilmore last week. I mean, I think you got to go back to this guy again this week.
Also, just to tell the listeners, a lot of the hurry-up offense, too, is really utilized at home, like where you don't have to deal with crowd noise and you're able to do, like, your normal, like, get to the line and just running plays. So sometimes at home, offenses can kind of do whatever they want because they don't have to deal with the away crowd. So interesting though that they.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I just read it before we got on here, and it like totally stuck out to me because I was totally thinking the opposite in my own head. I was like, looking for ammunition about the thing. So it's just something to monitor. But yeah, I like this game too. I mean, I love Corey Davis.
So one guy, and I know Chris was on him last week, T.Y. Hilton. I think this is the week where you can get on some T.Y. Hilton. I think his price is wicked fair. I think it's underpriced for him at $6,100. Back at home,
in the dome.
In the dome. This is the play. I love T.Y. here. I like him a little bit more than Corey Davis, so I'll probably have a little bit more T.Y. than Corey Davis, but I still like Corey Davis this week because, like Brett said, his price is still cheap. But I love this spot for T.Y. Hilton. I think this could be a 150-2 week for him. So I love him this week.
Is there any love? Do you guys have any love for Marlon Mack in this spot? I mean, he popped multiple times.
No, and it's because I have love for another running back near him that we'll get to in a sec.
Okay.
Should I have love for him?
I don't know. This just seems like a decent spot where you obviously want this seems like a great spot touchdown equity wise for Marlon Mack. We've seen his usage just go off the charts the last 3 weeks. I don't know. To me, like this seems like a spot where you're going to get a guy for super low ownership. All these guys too that we've named as plays, they're at the mid-tier to cheaper level. So it's a way that you can like stack this game somewhat and then stack another game maybe with some more expensive guys and get a lineup in that way. A lot of these guys are just dirt cheap. So.
Only thing that worries me is I believe this Titans defense is pretty good, especially against the run, and they've yet to allow even 18 points to any running back.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough matchup.
And yeah, so I mean, maybe I'll look into it more. Maybe I should be on him, but I hadn't thought about him. What about Dontrell Inman?
Butler?
What about Dontrell Inman all of a sudden coming out of the woodworks? He's getting a ton of targets. Forget it. It's stupid. Although did you guys see DeMarcus? Remember I said DeMarcus Robinson? He did outscore Chris Conley. Just want to throw that out there. And they did go to him a little bit.
I remember when he was chalk like last year. He
busted. But there was another week that when nobody before he became chalk. When I was on him and he went nuts and then he became chalk.
I remember when nobody talked about Tyreek Hill last week. Absolutely nobody. And they started off the game 50-yard pass, 40-yard pass for a touchdown.
I had him. Thanks to you. And I had that game because I just wanted to run DJ back with someone, so he was like the obvious.
That was the perfect leverage spot, right? Because you had Kansas City kind of playing a tough pass defense, and everybody was going to be on Kareem Hunt there. So
I had too much Kareem Hunt. Oh, my cash lineup! If you guys saw my cash line, I did crunch time. And I gave two versions. I was like, here's like a normal good cash lineup that you guys can use. I'm not using it because I'm using this crazy one. If you want to come and take a walk with me, you're more than welcome to. I showed it to him. It was Mariota, Deion Lewis, but it didn't have Corey Davis, but it had I faded Gurley. I had Kareem Hunt. I had like I played Duke in cash. It was horrendous.
Wasn't bad, I don't believe, right?
What?
I think Duke still had 14, 15 points.
I had Josh Gordon. Yeah, no, he was fine. He was like, but like, so I had it was Duke, Deion Lewis. I had Josh Gordon. I can't remember who else I had. I didn't have Michael Thomas. That was the problem. But.
So, Raven, you called that big time too. I don't know if we talked about that on the show, but everybody was all over Gordon, and nobody was talking Edelman. And the ownership difference between two was ridiculous.
So I sent that out to I think you guys in the Slack on Sunday morning, and then I was talking with my brother, and he makes, he doesn't play a ton. He makes like one lineup and he throws it in there. So he'll call me and, we'll talk about like things for like, 20 minutes, something like that. I was just telling him, I go, dude, if you take Edelman and leverage the Gordon ownership and he goes off and Gordon doesn't, you're going to be in a good spot. And so he actually did it. And he actually had a good night, but,
dude, I thought Gordon was such a smash right from right off the bat. They just target. Like he had that 44-yard reception. He was getting like every target was going his way. He had, if we got points for air yards.
Yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah. But
he dropped like 3 balls too, man. He should have caught
Yeah, but he had that finger. Like he's got that dislocated thumb or something.
They tape those 2 fingers together after that one
it's
drop.
Weird. It's weird in fantasy that you don't get points for pass interference calls. There's certain guys, Deshaun Jackson being one, that I feel like gets so many pass interference calls, and if a 40 or 50-yard pass interference call, you feel like you should earn something out of that.
You know what's the worst is in baseball. When your batter's up there and gets catcher's interference, he doesn't even get the points for a walk. He gets a 0. He gets nothing. He gets his at-bat taken
on the catcher, right?
Yeah, he gets his at-bat taken away from him. I'm like, how does that make any sense?
How is that justice? How is that justice to my lineups?
Yeah, at least should be a walk, right?
Right.
Has there ever been catcher's interference on a home run or even a double or something? Is that possible where you get
you smash? Yeah, if they call it back,
obviously it'd be pretty tough.
Doesn't count. You hit his glove.
Yeah.
First base. You'd probably break his hand. But
yeah, I've so I used to be a catcher. You get the back swings on your glove often, a guy that just would swing like Ken Griffey Jr. and kind of just fling the bat backwards. Oh, the worst.
Look at this. We got a catcher. We got a CrossFit owner. We got homeowners on this show. I'm a dog owner. That's all I am. I'm a dog owner.
All right, so let's get into some more running backs. There's a guy that we haven't discussed yet.
Yep.
I think is going to be super low owned because of the matchup. I think I like James Conner. I think no one's going to play him against Jacksonville. It's in Jacksonville. He's just this team, Pittsburgh, they're feeding the running back. Their offense goes through the running back. They get so many like Brett said, pass interference plays. They get so many plays at the 1 where then it's just 1-yard touchdown, James Conner. It happens all the time. This guy's just I don't even know. We said Baltimore was a tough matchup. Then he goes out and he gets 32 fantasy points against probably one of the best run Ds in the whole league. So Jacksonville is someone who I do not mind picking on with a running back, and especially a really good one with a team who feeds the running back and has one of the best teams and offensive lines. So, yeah, James Conner, low ownership. I think I'm going there. I think that's my GPP dart.
This is scary to me because, Brett, what defense did I tell you I was actually considering in Slack today? Do you remember?
Don't say the Jags.
It was the Jags.
Oh,
You say Jags? I don't know. I actually remember that.
just play the Cardinals like everyone else and just take your 10, 12 points from Oakland. Come on.
I feel like now's the time. I feel like when you count them out.
All right. Hey, I do want to talk about the Baltimore situation. And, obviously we have two running quarterbacks that could possibly be play. I think what this could do is really affect Alex Collins in a positive way. Do you guys kind of agree with that? I mean, like usually running quarterbacks are good for a running back situation. Plus, just obviously as a safety valve out of the backfield. This is a spot, too, at home versus a Bengals defense. The Bengals defense has been brutal versus running backs, but they have faced some pretty elite running backs. They faced the Saints where Kamara and Ingram went for 160 and two touchdowns. They faced Kareem Hunt that crushed them for 140 and 3 touchdowns. And they faced James Conner that obliterated him. So I think this is a spot where, I don't know, the Ravens can really control this game, I feel like, on the ground. And, I think Collins will be a good value spot if you want to go for a cheap running back, expensive wide receiver type of lineup.
I think this is an awesome play. I think this is it. If he's ever going to be an awesome play, this is the week. So he was someone I was totally looking at today, and I agree. I'm on board. What about you, JSU? And it's JSU, not John. What? How am I supposed to say it? John Surab?
Surabian.
No, but it's JSU, like CSU Ram. It's JSU Rab, CSU Ram.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're going.
That's the way I've always said it too.
Yeah.
No. Hold on here.
I think Bobby started that on our Grinders Live. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
just rolled with it.
It was just going with it. No, before I answer this question, I want to know Brett's thoughts on James Conner. I refuse to answer this question. Brett didn't even give his take on my sleeper GPP guy. He just sat there quiet, like me talking to myself. Brett,
yeah.
What about James Conner?
Okay, so the last time they faced a, tough defense on the road, it was the Ravens, and I was totally off the train there. But then you see the usage, and especially Roethlisberger on the road, they can't trust the guy to throw passes on the road. So this offense will be run through Conner, and I totally agree that he's going to get lost in ownership at the price range he's at $7,200. So it does make for a perfect pivot off of David Johnson. I would only obviously do it in tournament formats, but I mean, you're going to see 10 to 12% on Conner, whereas David Johnson's going to be like 35%. He's going to be the most owned guy, I think, on the slate. So
let me just hit you with some quick stats here. All right. Kansas City had 2 touchdowns on the ground and about 100 yards rushing, 115 yards rushing on the ground. Dallas had 820 yards on the ground, had 2 rushing touchdowns, one from Elliott, one from Dak. Houston, Lamar Miller ran for 100 yards and a touchdown. All right, these are against Jacksonville. So, those were 4 of the last 5 games, or 3 of the last 4 games. Why can't James Conner do the same thing as Lamar Miller against this Jags game?
And really, how are they going to score their points? I don't feel like – to me –
Exactly. What are they throwing it up to Antonio Brown for all of them? No, This is a James Conner spot.
I actually do like Juju, but, you kind of want to avoid
He would be the second guy. He would be the second guy I would look at. But James Conner is by far the vocal point of this offense.
You do want to avoid the outside corners in Jacksonville, but saying that, I know in the playoff game, Juju actually had a pretty bad stat line. It was like 3 catches for 6 yards and a touchdown in the playoff game. And then Antonio Brown the last 2 games has gone over 100 yards. So,
but I'm saying it's like those were all losses. Kansas City, Dallas, Houston,
Sure.
They were all losses. What are they doing? They're pounding them on the ground. They're running through that. Like that is what teams are doing. They're not targeting them through the air. They're trying to run through them, and then it opens up the pass. They're not passing to open up. It's the opposite. They're trying to run the ball. Yep. So, like, Pittsburgh's going to know this. That they watch the film. Like, they're going to see what other teams are doing, and it's obviously working because all these teams beat Jacksonville. So,
I'm playing Jags D.
Fine, I'll go James Conner and run right through your D.
I know, you, of course you will. But anyway, one guy I wanted to bring up quickly. He looks awesome to me. Amari Cooper.
I was gonna bring him up too.
All right, let's go. Talk about him.
I mean, this is the spot of all spots for Amari. In Atlanta, in a dome. This is a great spot. Atlanta just gives up so many yards through the air, whether that be from running backs or wide receivers. I'm going to want to have a lot of ownership with Amari, especially at his price tag of $5,400. I think he's priced at a perfect spot. So I think he will be chalky by Sunday. I haven't really listened to too many podcasts out there yet, but it's a spot where I think this is good chalk.
Yeah, I think he's a good chalk play. His price is way too cheap. Definitely has talent, and especially if you're not going with Elliott, then I think he's a guy you have to look at for sure.
He's a great route runner. He's gets separation. He already has 11 catches, 133 yards, touchdown. And Dak missed him on when he totally had everybody beat last week. I think he's going to smash. I mean, I think you can play him with Zeke. I know you obviously can get a little bit of leverage on either way you go here. You could play just single with Amari and hope that Zeke busts. But I see plenty of room for both of them in this game. Any of these other cheap guys on the Cowboys or anything? Or maybe like a Calvin Ridley?
What do you think ownership of Cortland Sutton's going to be? I mean, this guy was chalked 2 weeks ago. Then he has a bye.
It's going to be like half the ownership he was that
Doesn't
week.
that feel kind of good? Like as a GPP play? I mean, I just feel like a guy that was super chalk and now coming out of a bye, people haven't really looked at the situation. And then I think everybody kind of avoids the Chargers. He's
going to get Hayward.
How is Hayward ranked on the season?
I don't have it.
I don't feel like he's been anywhere near as elite as he was last year.
I know he's there. He's their top quarterback, that's for sure.
I think didn't he just struggle in the beginning, but now he's been kind of coming on of late. I also think that if they get Bosa back, it makes it even tougher.
Yeah, I do have his cornerback ratings pretty high, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. In our wide receiver cornerback matchup chart on RotoGrinders, for whatever reason, Tim Patrick is squared up against him. So.
Well, there's some it's not a lock that he's going to get Hayward, but it's very possible. They may do something to put him on emo, but
in the slot.
Yeah, but that it's most likely that Hayward's going to be on Sutton is what I'm showing.
That's news to stick with then, because I mean, if that is based upon where he's lined up, I mean, I would love to go and get exposure to the other guy, because I mean, this is a spot where the Chargers pasty hasn't been great at all. So
the problem is that Hayward doesn't go in the slot. So it makes more sense that Hayward would match up with Sutton, but like I don't think we're gonna know. I don't think there's gonna be news we're gonna catch. I think it's you gotta guess.
Yeah, it's not like the Cortland Sutton's like a big time wide receiver where reporters are going to be asking, "Hey, are you going to be going up against Cortland Sutton?" It's not like
who?
Well, I think it's still though it's kind of a price play, right? Like this guy has talent. This guy
and an ownership, price and ownership.
Right. So I mean, from that standpoint, it's not a bad play.
Never. And defenses don't matter, as everyone says in every single show.
Oh, yeah.
And we found that out with Gilmore.
Just looking at the DVOA numbers for wide receiver 1s, wide receiver 2s, and wide receiver 3s against the Chargers, there's really no distinguish. They're 24, 22, and 21. So it's not like you're seeing the number 1 spot kind of shut down, whereas the wide receiver 2 pops,
Yep. All right. Is that a wrap, fellas?
Yeah, I'd say we threw out quite a few names out there.
Let's give them our favorite like 1 or 2 guys and roll it through.
Call it a show.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
good. You got one. Okay. You got one Sarabian to start it off.
Yeah, give us the good one.
Give us the good one.
Give us the $100,000 one.
That's fine. James Conner. Boom. Done. Everyone lock it in and head out.
I'm not playing Dynasty anymore. No.
I do like James Conner. I will be playing him, but a guy that I absolutely love, probably Odell Beckham would be one guy, and then I'm gonna say OJ Howard. It's the other guy. Those 2 guys. I love those 2 guys this week.
All right. I will, for like a cheaper guy that I don't think is going to be highly rostered, it's going to be Nelson Aguilar at 4,100. Just a spot where I think the Eagles are going to be throwing quite a bit. Still not confident in Golden Tate at all. Getting a lot of targets. And then maybe more of a chalkier guy, but I think I'm going right back to the well on Corey Davis. There's just no way. With the guys' usage in this offense. And Kirk did mention about the pace being a little bit slower for the Colts, so that's something that I'm going to want to look into also. But I think this is a spot where you have 2 bad teams, and we know what Corey Davis is.
I don't think that I think Corey Davis's usage is so high on this offense, and Mariota is playing so well. I don't care what a few ticks on snaps or pace or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he's good to go. So I like that call. I'm going to leave you guys with my boy in the same game as JSU's, Sterling Shepard. He's going to be the pivot. So make a lineup with JSU's with Odell. Make one with Sterling Shepard. And I also like Djax, and David Johnson is going to smash again. He's going to be very good chalk. And I just want to know, I want to leave the show. After you won the 100K, probably more, it was 115 just from your first 2 lineups or whatever, and God knows if you had any other contests and whatnot. But how did you feel the next day, or who did you feel like?
Honestly, I was so tired I literally didn't go to bed until like 3 and woke up at 4:30 and went to work at 5. And I felt like
from the store, huh?
I did actually still feel really good. Again, I'm not 6'6", I'm 5'6". There's a big difference.
But you felt like you were 6'6".
I felt like I was 6'6". I stood up on a chair in my office, and I felt that tall.
You felt like you were 6'6" to me. That's what I wanted to hear.
By the way, the next day in that same exact tournament, I took 15th place. I thought there was a shot that we'd go back to back.
I know, of course. Whenever Brett says he has the nuts, or like, I already know it's over. It's over.
Dude, he said that in the Slack that night on Monday.
Yeah, I knew it was over.
LeVert, and I was at like 300 with LeVert or something like that, and I'm sitting there going, "Shut up, Brett! Right now, I can't even feel my feet and my toes right now. My body's going numb. I'm sitting here watching this game, but my heart's pounding out of my chest."
You never told us that you had a sweat at all.
No, you hit it. You hit it.
Anything. I was like,
I would have jinxed it in the quickness. It would have been.
Russell was like on fire too. I'm like, I'm not saying nothing.
You're lucky because You're lucky because I had Montrezl that night. So like, you're lucky that he didn't bust or like foul out or whatever.
Dude, I had him too. Oh my God, I'm so lucky. See, that's why I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything for that reason.
All right, so that's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you again next week. This is the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. Thanks a lot.